Steve, I'm super excited to have you here today because I've known you for a long time. Excited to talk about data. Data for me it's like oxygen. Without that, we don't know whether we progress, we don't know where we're going. It's like, let's say you decided to go to China, and if you don't have alternate routes, you might go the very long way or you can go the short way. So I'm excited to have you here today, Steve. And I'd love to start. Why are we talking about data today?
Well, you really hit the nail on the head. Without data, you're making guesses, and they're not always informed guesses. They're things that may or may not be true. There was a saying from Edward Deming, who somebody reminded me of recently, who was a big business consultant, almost single-handedly started the field of business consulting in Japan. And he said, in God we trust, all others need to bring data. And I think you remember when we started Data-Driven Salon a long, long time ago, somebody at one of the first events said, if you have data, data can be the manager. And if data is the manager, you don't have to make difficult decisions. People don't have to feel that you're either showing favoritism or not showing favoritism to them or somebody else, because it's really the data that is driving those decisions. So I've always seen data as critically important. Before I was in the beauty industry, I was in technology for a long, long time. And in technology, partially because of the nature of the business, but also because the type of people who are involved in the business, it's always been very, very data focused. In the beauty industry, people are generally more creative, people are more outgoing, people are more empathetic, a whole host of things, which maybe doesn't suggest that data is at the center of our decision making or how we do things.
Talking about all the years that you have spent in the industry and even before that in technology, I would say you spent over 30 years in leadership and focus on marketing, communication, media, technology. In the past, I would say 10 to 15 years, you really decided that you're going to shift your focus and really focus on how to impact our industry, because I know how much you love it, and how to dedicate growth within the industry. So I love if you can take our listeners with your experience, because you were with media, you were with marketing, technology, definitely that is data. And I think your strength in marketing is really strong. Now you are working with Pivot Point, you're a big essential to this company, and of course dedicated so much to beauty changes lives and many more. I know how much you dedicate, but I would love if you can share with our listeners the success of people within the industry, and where do you think there is a flaw? Where is the change? If you can summarize your journey of that, we would love to hear.
Well, my thought about this industry is when I came into this industry, I came from much, much more traditional structured industries. As I mentioned, I was in technology, I was in packaging, a whole host of things over my long career. Thank you for pointing that out. I came in this industry, and one of the things that struck me immediately was how good the people were. And there are a lot of careers where people get involved because they want to make a lot of money or they want to be powerful. People got into the beauty industry because they cared about other people, because they wanted to make a difference, because they wanted to give back, because they wanted to be creative, a whole host of other things. And as a consequence of that, they were very, very good at taking care of other people and not always very good at taking care of themselves. And I know that's one of your central themes, pay yourself first. But one of the things that I think is really an opportunity for this industry is the world has changed so much, and so much data and information and technology is so accessible. It gives all of us the opportunity, without really having to do the kind of deep dive you need to do before, to really run your business and therefore your life much, much more efficiently and more
Yeah.
successfully.
So let's put it this way. What are the difficulties and the challenges that not knowing your data, or maybe having the wrong data? Where's the flaw in our industry, and why do you focus on that?
Well, one of the things that I've been very, very involved with is Beauty Changes Lives. And Beauty Changes Lives several years ago started putting together industry leader roundtables. And the intent was to create a safe space where the top people in our industry could get together and they could talk about important topics that didn't necessarily benefit just them, but really benefited the industry. And we had one at Premier Orlando this most recent year, focused on technology. And it was very inspiring for a lot of people, very eye-opening for a lot of people. But people came away with a sense that we can manage technology. I didn't realize, how to break it into smaller chunks. I didn't realize all the information that already existed. I didn't realize that the things I'm facing are things lots and lots of other people in the industry are facing. But
like what do you mean? So just give me. You just had a round table at PBA.
Well, let me go back to where I was headed. So one of the things that came out of this was a side conversation about data and people saying technology is really important, but technology without really good data isn't being as effective or as efficient as it needs to be. And we started continuing the conversation, and it became very obvious that everyone in the industry, depending upon what they did, had a different definition of what qualified as data. Data for a salon owner is very different than data for a manufacturer, which is different data.
Now, one of the most important things that you can invest in and not do it yourself, I highly recommend mysalonbooks.com. Salon owners that are tired of never knowing if you're actually profitable or where your money is going, on what your money is doing for you or against you. The team at My Salon Books takes the stress off your plate. They are specialized in salon booking, providing real-time insight and financial clarity so you can focus on what you do best, running a thriving salon. Here at Salon Cadence, we recommend mysalonbooks.com. It is the only bookkeeping management that utilizes the profit first the right way. So go to mysalonbooks.com to learn more and get free evaluation of your own books. Now, this episode is sponsored by Salon Cadence, the only global advisory network helping salon and spa and med spa CEOs scale to 7 and 8 figures without a burnout. This is not a do-it-yourself program. This is do it with you and for you. From profit-first system to team-run leadership. First, we fix the numbers, then we create the wealth, then we focus on CEO mindset, and we build the process with your team to give you the ultimate freedom to become the true CEO and visionary you are. We have helped thousands grow widely successful for freedom-driven companies in beauty, wellness, and regenerative medicine. If you're ready to grow, scale, and live a wealthy life, visit saloncadence.com.
From a school owner, which is different from data for somebody who's running some sort of charity, for example. So there was no sense of the larger data landscape. There was no sense of what are the key data that our industry really needs to be tracking to be most effective. And there are a million things you could follow, but certain things will blow to the top. And then when it came down to it, it's how consistent is this data? Is this data valid? What sources should I trust? Is the data accurate? Are we using the same definitions? A whole host of other things. What are the data sources? And it came up in lots and lots of conversations that until we put a focus on data and really start to understand what data was in our industry, how different people, and when I say different people, I mean cross-functionally, people who are working in schools, people who are independent contract, people who are consultants, people who are product owners, how they're looking at data. And then maybe we can all get together and say, this is really important. Let's prioritize certain things because they will help us all. And then based on the success of those individual things, we can branch out and do more and more and more because we will have set a framework for future activity, cooperation, and success.
Yeah. And so how does this conversation came up? So what are the specific important data points that you guys came into let's collect data when it comes to these categories. What are those categories?
Well, I mentioned it really depends on who you're talking to because they see data differently. As a salon owner, you're interested in data on what people are charging, number of people who are rebooking, all those things. As a school owner, who's passing the state board, where are they ending up? If you're a product manufacturer, it's turns. How often am I selling things? It really depends on who you're talking to. But what came out of all those conversations was Beauty Changes Lives got together with the Professional Beauty Association and decided it would be appropriate to have a special data roundtable at the PBA Executive Summit, which was in November.
Yeah.
And we had that roundtable, and about 70 people got together representing all different segments of the industry. But what was remarkable was their agreement and alignment on what was really important for the industry and the key findings that bubbled up.
Say that again.
The findings that bubbled up.
The finding. Okay. So
Yeah.
can you share?
Sure. So some of the key themes that came up, and this was very consistent across different groups, is there's no shared data foundation. And that means we use different definitions, coding, terminology, which makes it really difficult to actually track things or to take two data sets and compare them.
However, we do have technology. So we do have all the software. We have Scale. We have Vish. So there's a lot of great and what was the name of, remind me, what was the name of the software that you were part of the development?
Salon Interactive.
No, even before that, that was sold to MindBody.
Oh, Chris Nesda.
Yes, and that was the
I
first.
can't remember the name of it right now for some reason.
And I know, me too, but we know what we're talking about. And that was the first one that actually collected a lot of great data. I think where the problem is, Steve, is that everybody has their own category of fetching data.
Well, it's actually a little bit more foundational than that. So if we're trying to capture how many color services there are, and somebody comes in for a full color service, or somebody comes in for highlights, and we're trying to say, okay, the average color service is this many dollars. If we haven't included definitions of the different color services, our data is not going to be that valuable because we're going to be capturing different things. Or how long does it take? And that's just a very, very basic example. But in every segment of the industry, you're going to find definitions that aren't consistent because most of these were developed by individual groups.
Right.
And
So,
even across POS systems,
right.
they're capturing data a little bit differently.
So, for example, let's talk a little bit about the salon owner. Things that we collect data, and we've been collecting data for 7 years. When it comes to all the numbers, profitability, we collect exactly where they are, the real true sense of profitability. We collect data of most valuable multipliers. We collect the multipliers. We find out how many hours are sold per month, how many hours are not sold per month. I mean, we're talking about basics information. So even basics information like this, if there was one central hub that say, okay, this is how we're going to be collecting data, how would that be impactful, and for who would that be impactful? So we're talking about it'll be impactful for brands and be impactful for manufacturer. Like, for example, how many color services are being done versus how many dry services are being dry. What's the most valuable products that is being sold versus what's not in sold. So how would that data actually can improve profitability, or what else would improve?
Well, it's very difficult to know what needs improvement unless you're benchmarking things, unless you're benchmarking against other things. Now, what you're talking about is actually starting to happen with the Kim report, which is basically bringing together data from multiple point of sale services to give people insights into what's happening. The challenge in the industry is that there are lots of industry segments, and I could highlight independent contractors or the nail segment or multicultural hair, where you're not necessarily part of the mainstream. And because of that, you're not necessarily part of the larger conversation. Now, what the Kim report is doing is they're starting with a number of POS companies and their data, and they're going to be building on that over time. And as the data set gets larger, the value it provides, assuming it's done correctly,
Yeah.
becomes much, much more valuable, because then you can segment things a lot more ways.
Right. So, Steve, I know you've been working with Pivot Point now for how many years?
Over 3 years.
And I know that you've been driving the data segment for them. What do you hope to actually get from driving this initiative? With this podcast or our show, it's Living a Profitable Life show, we're going to bring you so many great guests and lessons and teaching. So it's really is wonderful to have our partners, sponsors that helping us make this possible for everyone. But it is you who are going to make us better. So I'm asking you to always comment and let me know, how was this episode? Was it helpful? What else would you like to learn? What else would you like to see? It's predicted within the next few years, this industry, this beautiful beauty industry around the world is going to be growing by 8 to 10% incremental. That means opportunities to grow, to develop, to anything you want to be in this world. The thing is, the more you subscribe and share it with your friend, the more I can make this podcast be the best place for you. Any subject that you find is necessary, let us know. So please subscribe and help us get to at least 1,000 downloads. Once we get there, we'll celebrate.
So, Pivot Point is a third generation family business focused exclusively on the beauty industry. All their eggs are in this basket. The current president of the company, two of his sons and one of his nephews are in the business. They are all licensed cosmetologists. So this is a group that's completely committed. So as you know, if you're going to be swimming in a pond, you want to make sure the water's as clean as possible. So what Pivot Point really has tried to do is, because we function across so many different industry segments, both the school segment and the professional segment, try and identify information which is important for the rest of the industry to be aware of. So one example is, after the pandemic, I won't say ended, but when we went from lockdown, education dramatically changed. And everybody was asking us, well, how is it different? What's happened? We actually went out and we did a research project on post-pandemic education and how post-pandemic education was affecting what was happening with trade shows, conferences, brands and color companies, the generations, a whole host of things. And that became very, very valuable for lots of groups to look at and say, yeah, this is what I suspected. I didn't realize other people were going through the same thing. But also, here's something I may have never thought about before. With health, we know that health and wellness is critically important in our industry, but there wasn't a lot of information. We went out and we did 2 health research projects, and include physical health and mental health. And we did it in the school marketplace with students and their instructors. And then we also did it in the professional marketplace. And we identified some of the key challenges and gave people a sense of what was really important. So it was no longer anecdotally people saying that mental health issues aren't really that important, to somebody saying we have some data. We also found that physical safety was a significant issue related to that. And we got involved with a group which helps victims of domestic abuse and teaches people in the salon industry how to support their clients who are dealing with it, or themselves who are dealing with it. We were talking to people in the school community, and they were talking about how a lot of their students really want to know more about the bridal industry, but nobody knew anything about. We got together with a group that is heavily involved in the bridal industry, and we did research to benchmark the bridal industry.
And what did you find out
about the bridal industry? we
Yeah.
found that people who are in it are very satisfied. And even more important, they're very satisfied with their compensation, with how much money they're making. Generally, when you talk to any other group in the salon industry, they're not that satisfied. And it doesn't mean they're not doing well. It means maybe I'm not doing as well as my customer who comes in or something like that. But they're satisfied. We found out how their businesses were structured. We found out that it's probably not a business you can just go into. You have to have somebody bring you in. But it shines a little bit of light on a segment which has been growing since the
Yeah.
pandemic
Yeah.
and generates a lot of money, but still really isn't well understood. So all these types of things weren't necessarily tied to here's something we need to sell or anything like that. The agenda was really, this is really important stuff that if more people knew about it, it might
Yeah.
help some of them. And in writ larger, it'll help the industry as a whole. And that's really the goal. We're part of this industry. We have no plan B at Pivot Point. So how do we make our partners, our customers, and the industry as a whole as successful as possible? And that's another reason we're so heavily invested in Beauty Changes Lives, because that's their mission as well.
And I love that, you guys have so many academies, so you can really pull some good data points and ask good questions students. And as the industry is shifting, and it's been shifting for quite some time, what is the pattern of the shifting? I mean, we always had that challenge, or we thought we had that challenge. There's more solopreneurs than there are salons, but in actuality, it's always been the case. There's always been more independent contractors than big salons. But as the shift is even growing even more, what is for salon owners? What are the reasons? And I don't know if have had any of the beta or data for that, reasons for why owners having challenges of getting to retain good staff members, or why do you guys ever work on those benchmarks?
Yeah, we've done research on this as well. One of the things to keep in mind is the world has changed, and part of the change is if you ever wanted to run your own salon business by yourself in the year is 2000, how do you market yourself? Where do you get information? How do you purchase stuff? How do people pay? A whole host of things. What happened was the technology made you able to manage from the palm of your hand with your phone a business in a way you couldn't do it before. Then you had all the suites pop up. And there have always been people who have had suites, but when the suites became available, it made it very easy for you to do that. Now, what's going to happen in the future is a little bit of a pendulum swing. It goes one way, maybe a little bit too far, it overcorrects, is really very, very nuanced. And almost everything in life, what I'm hearing now is that there are a lot of people who had become independent contractors who realized that they wanted to be part of a salon. They miss the camaraderie. They want somebody else to deal with the messiness and
And,
booking
and
and
do you
all those things.
and do you guys have a way of tracking that yet?
No, and this is part of the data conversation. Earlier, I mentioned there are certain groups in this industry who are just underrepresented, and I mentioned the nail community, especially the Vietnamese nail community, the independent contractor community. And when I say underrepresented, I mean underrepresented with data. There
Yeah.
isn't a lot of data available about these groups. Now, as our industry moves ahead to develop kind of a data framework and maybe consistent definitions and expectations about what's important, maybe it makes it easier to start collecting that data.
Yeah,
So that's really the hope.
right. And working with, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about Beauty Changes Life, because I know it's a big part of your efforts and initiatives. And a lot of people don't know about Beauty Changes Lives.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about it. I've been involved with Beauty Changes Life since it started because I recognized just how important it was. The intent of Beauty Changes Lives is to make beauty a first choice career. And that's for people who are thinking of entering it, give them the information they need. People who are entering it, give them scholarships and mentorship. And then people who are in it have a sense of why they're doing this, to support them in a lot of little ways. And Beauty Changes Lives has always been very, very focused on this consistently. It's not a membership organization, so it doesn't compete with associations. It's just there to do good. And this year, for example, Beauty Changes Lives gave away over $500,000 in scholarship, robust mentorship programs. The gala is the industry's most unique opportunity to come together and celebrate itself and its people, and that's going to be at Premier Orlando again. And then the industry leader roundtables are really an opportunity to provide thought leadership and bring people together from different portions of the industry and say, how can we work together? Beauty Changes Lives was also instrumental in the creation of something called Unite as One, which is a coalition of industry associations who pre-pandemic, a lot of them weren't even talking to each other. And now they're meeting on a regular basis. They're aligning on key issues such as tip tax. And it's really given us a much, much stronger foundation as an industry to do what we need to do. So I'm very appreciative of the fact that Beauty Changes Lives has a very well-defined mission and has stuck with that mission. And one of the differences now is that post-pandemic, we've seen a lot of other industry activities, events kind of disappear.
Yeah.
The landscape was changed, but Beauty Changes Lives is still there. And as a consequence, it's gotten a lot more attention. More attention translates into the opportunity for it to do more good work. So it's kind of like a virtuous circle. And we're hoping that anyone who's going to Premier Orlando decides to become involved with what we're doing there and
Well,
our other activities.
I think it will be really great and I think Beauty Changes Life is more than a gala. It really is to support anyone who wants to be mentored, not only scholarship, but also how to become really successful. This episode is sponsored by Forest Salon Software, the all-in-one solution designed to help salon, spa, med spa owners really deliver with confidence and really design and drive their company to success. Forest isn't just a booking system. It is your machine that will help you grow your company with smart marketing and real-time reporting, staff performance tracking, and world-class support. And I mean world-class support, because I wouldn't even recommend Forest if they didn't have a world-class support. Now, so whether you're scaling to 7 figures or streamline your operation or need to fix things and tighten things up, Forest can help you make smarter decisions and deliver the luxury experience that your clients and your members really need. If you're ready for software that is all in and grows with you and support you for a truly team-run company, just visit forest.com and discover why thousands of salons trust Forest. And mention Salon Cadence and you'll get a perk. It's very well network initiative where there's so many resources. So it's not only for beauticians that wants to become hairdressers or cosmetologists, but it's for every avenue within the industry there's just so many opportunities in the industry, which I think it's fabulous for Beauty Changes Lives supporting it. But the gala is incredible. The gala is incredible and everybody should be there. It's always good to see everyone there and get connected. And for many people that feel that they're maybe not worthy of being at the gala, I think we need to let them all know that everyone is welcome. And it's a beautiful place to come and learn more about it. So premiere is in May 31st, June 1st.
I think May 30th is the date that the gala and the roundtable are taking place. And both are going to be taking place at, I think it's the Hyatt Regency now. I still think of it as the Peabody.
Going back into Pivot Point and Beauty Changes Live, how are they related?
When Beauty Changes Lives was an idea that Linnell Lynch, who was the owner of Bellis Academy, a beauty school, had. And she got together with 2 industry friends. One of them was Jan Arnold, who was the co-founder of CND, and the other was Robert Passage, who's the president of Pivot Point.
Yeah.
And they got together and they said, we can do more. And they started working on it. And it's been around for 13 or 14 years. And lots of other people would have given up, but there was a vision. And everybody stuck with it. And now it's become much, much more successful in terms of being recognized by the industry. But it's not an overnight sensation. It's a labor
Oh,
of love that's been going on for years and years and years.
and how can and who can contribute? In what way? Contributions.
There are different types of contributions. One type of contribution is you could be a mentor. Another type of contribution is your business can sponsor scholarships, or you can donate to our causes. And there are a lot of different ways to donate. A third is you could be on a committee. There are lots of ways to get involved. And I know that one of the Beauty Changes Lives focuses this year is going to be on how do we engage more people and help them recognize that, they can be part of the solution, that they are part of this community. And here's an organization that would welcome you with open arms to help make a difference.
With that end sentence, I'd love to ask you 5 questions. We always ask 5 questions. Those are rapid questions, Steve.
Okay.
So are you ready for them?
Absolutely.
Okay. What is your superpower?
I think over time, I've been able to kind of figure out the bigger picture, where things are headed and how things relate to each other, to try and bring together ideas and appropriate people to hopefully make things happen.
Yeah, putting people together. And what's your biggest failure in life, and what did it teach you?
I had a big project I was working on a long time ago that never happened. And my thinking at the time was I knew it made sense and I thought I could just power through and make it happen through sheer force of will. But I really didn't consider 2 things. One is the timing has to be right. And by that, it means the world has to be ready for it. And people have to be ready for it. And the second is that you have to get people to buy in the vision. And when the timing isn't right, a lot of people can't see the vision. It's hard to get them buy in. So I look at this and I say, if I had waited a couple of years and done it a little bit differently, it could have been a massive success. As it turned out, it just never launched.
Got it. And that happens all the time, right? All right. What if you could put a billboard anywhere? What would it say?
Be curious.
Love it.
And I'll give you some background. When we were doing one of our data technology events, we were talking about what Donald Rumsfeld used to say were the known knowns. These are things you know about. The known unknowns, you know this is out there, but you don't know enough about it to really have an opinion or do anything. And the unknown unknowns, things that aren't even on your radar.
Ignorance.
Well, I wouldn't call it ignorance. It's ignorance kind of implies you're willfully ignorant. I think the world is changing so fast and there are so many things going on that unless you're endlessly curious, it's going to be very hard to stay on top of things.
100%. I don't know about you, Steve, but I am obsessed, and I have been obsessed for 4 years with AI. And it's pretty incredible, the world that we are entering into. Whether it's a bubble or not, who knows? But it is definitely data driven. Okay, next question. What your definition of success?
Well, that's an interesting question because it's changed pretty dramatically as I've gotten older. When you're younger, I think it's more about you, what I've accomplished, my benchmarks, my personal benchmarks. I think when you get older, success is something you measure by the impact you've had.
I love that. And so what exciting opportunities is in your future?
I think it's to execute on things. I mean, we've identified a lot of topics related to primarily change and visioning in the future. And it's how do we help prepare our industry, which hasn't always been particularly well organized or really on the cutting edge of a lot of things related to technology. How do we best manage it to be successful, not just for the current generation, but for the next generation we want to attract?
Oh, I love that too. And for anybody who wants to have the opportunity to team up with Pivot Point or to team up with Beauty Changes Live, for all my listeners, which are business owners of service go-givers, what should they do? What will be the best way?
For Pivot Point, I would encourage people to reach out to me directly, and I'm sure you can include this when you post this. And for Beauty Changes Lives, and who is always thrilled to connect with people who want to make a difference and help.
I love it. That sounds amazing, Steve. And I really appreciate you spending the time with me and informing so well on three key things: pivot point, beauty changes life, how we can make a difference, and why data is super important and what are we doing about that. And if anybody wanted to contribute to the data, what should we be doing?
Well, one of the things that came out of this roundtable was that the industry really needs to have a group focused on this. And I'm not sure where that group lives and who that group includes, but that is one of the action items that came out of this. So that's what we're going to be trying to help make happen.
Okay, well, that
Yeah.
sounds good. So
Well,
they
based on that, people will then know where to go.
and they
So
should
right now, people wouldn't know where to go.
Okay, so now we have a place, and that they should contact you as well.
Sure.
Okay, sounds good. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you for asking. I appreciate the opportunity to share what we're thinking about and what we're doing.
Oh, and I think we're going to continue building the data.